And we begin here with a final goodbye. Tomorrow, friends, family, the community, law enforcement, they will all remember the life of fallen CMPD officer Mia Goodwin. She died last week after a tractor trailer struck her patrol car on I-85 South while she was responding to an earlier crash. We're going to have some more information on her funeral service in just a few moments, but first we have to share this new information into the crash investigation that took Goodwin's life. Authorities allege that the driver of the tractor trailer actually tried to leave the scene before Highway Patrol stopped him. That's according to newly obtained court documents filed against Daniel Morgan, who is now facing multiple felonies. WCNC Charlotte's Brandon Goldner is live for us along I-85 where that crash happened. So Brandon, what else did we learn in these documents?
Vanessa, Highway Patrol says Daniel Morgan tried to walk away from the scene during the investigation and actually walk up on this exit ramp, but he was stopped before he could leave. Investigators say this deadly chain reaction started a half-mile up I-85 when detectives say Daniel Morgan told them he saw flashing blue lights from CMPD squad cars, which were blocking several lanes from an earlier crash. Officers say Morgan told them he didn't hard brake his truck until he was 200 feet away from the police cars, but investigators say it was too late. Court documents say Morgan's actions led to Officer Mia Goodwin's death and injuries to 3 other officers. After the crash, troopers accused Morgan of taking an unspecified mechanical device from the dash of his truck in an attempt to hinder their investigation. Court documents say Morgan also admitted to placing a fictitious tag on his trailer. We first told you last week how the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration's database shows Morgan's company had an inactive U.S. DOT number because his company failed to provide updated information. These latest court documents we obtained say Morgan's truck wasn't supposed to be on the road in the first place.
Go about halfway down the ramp and stop, and we'll bring this patient over to you. He was the driver of the tractor trailer. It's basically for medical evaluation.
Morgan was taken to the hospital because troopers say he couldn't remember what happened after the crash. At the hospital, officers say he was found not to be impaired. We reached out to Morgan's attorney to ask for his response to these latest allegations that we've learned. His response is as follows, quote, "There is a time for all things. This is a time to mourn, reflect, and pay tribute to Officer Goodwin's life. There are no words that can express the extent of Mr. Morgan's sorrow." Live in University, Brandon Goldner, WCNC Charlotte.
Brandon, thank you for those updates. You know, as we said earlier, hundreds are set to come together to say goodbye to Officer Goodwin tomorrow. A procession for her begins at 9 a.m. That's at the Alexander Funeral Home on Statesville Avenue, and it will end at First Baptist on South Davidson Street in Uptown. Visitation starting at 10 a.m. and the funeral service will follow at noon. As we told you before, Goodwin leaves behind 3 young children and her husband, who is a Charlotte firefighter. If you'd like, you can help by donating flowers, or you could plant a tree in her memory. And be sure that we'll have continuing coverage tomorrow about these tributes that will come in for Officer Goodwin. Those will start on our midday news.